There is no hard and fast rule when it comes to how best to park your vehicle in preparation for an appointment. It is always a good idea to consider the timing of your appointment when determining how to park. For example, an 8 o'clock a.m. appointment may coincide with members of the family leaving to go to work, while a 2 o'clock p.m. appointment may have a lesser chance of impacting the flow of traffic at and around the resident's home. Should your appointment be in proximity to a high traffic time, either in the morning or evening, when residents may be leaving or returning to the home, please park your vehicle along the side of the road to prevent traffic disturbances. When first arriving at the resident's home, naturally, you will need to introduce yourself to the customer and provide a brief overview of what you and your partner will be doing during your maintenance visit. At this time, you may review the tasks you will be performing, as well as pricing, with the resident from your weather engineer's tablet. When performing your job on any appointment, it is good practice and a weather engineer's standard procedure that you must wear your protective booties and utilize a drop cloth while performing any cleaning operation. The drop cloth is used to collect dirt as the venting is cleaned. When properly setting up drop cloths, you should keep 4 things in mind. 1. The work area. 2. The pathway you plan to use in the house as your main walkway to and from the exterior. 3. How to best protect the homeowner's flooring, furniture, door openings, trim moldings, and anywhere an airline could mark or get snagged. 4. Under any venting that you take down and stage in the home. You should always make sure to use drop cloths to protect all areas of the homeowner's property within the space you'll be operating in. Any equipment that you bring into the home or take down from the ceiling or wall should be staged on top of a drop cloth or protective floor covering. Sometimes a drop cloth may need to be taped or secured around a door edge in order to further protect the customer's home. There are 3 main pieces of equipment that you will use when performing HVAC cleaning. You should become familiar with and be comfortable using each of these before performing any cleaning operation. 1. Small HEPA power vacuum. 2. Medium HEPA power vacuum. 3. Large HEPA power vacuum. The size of the HEPA vacuum you choose will depend on the overall size of the HVAC equipment and ducting system on the property. The small HEPA vacuum is good for 90% of all residential homes. The medium-sized HEPA vacuum will be used in homes with duct systems that have extremely long runs and in light commercial applications. The large HEPA vacuum is used in large commercial applications. The air handler style and duct configuration will determine how you set up your HEPA vacuum. A good example of this is if you are connecting to a Trane TAM style air handler with the blower in the bottom. You will need to access the duct plenum directly above the air handler or the first mixing box if the plenum is flexed. To clean the return, you may also need to hook your HEPA vacuum up to one of the returns inside the house instead of at the plenum. Look at the unit configuration during your job overview to ensure that you will get the maximum suction during the duct cleaning process. Most of the time, vents are aimed towards the outer walls of a home in order to create a proper thermal barrier and are usually aimed to flow across the ceiling for the same thermal protection. Technicians may use a marker to tag locations of particular vents to make sure they go back the same as removed. The sales representative usually advises the client that we will aim them as they should be installed. Return grills are usually installed to prevent unsightly dust to be seen inside the boot areas, so they will normally be towards an inside wall. When accessing the duct for maintenance, do not cut the duct wall using a straight incision. Straight incisions will cause the duct cutout to fall through the hole when it is replaced, creating a safety hazard and causing damage to the unit. To access the duct, cut the duct at an angle, creating a bevel-formed cutout that will remain in place when it is replaced. Here are some of the most common tools used to perform duct cleaning operations. Forward and reverse nozzles. Whip heads that differ in length. The length you use will be determined by the duct diameter. Power rod system. This is a rigid rod system with quick connects that allow you to connect your tool to the end and feed it into the duct system. Forward and reverse air sweep assembly. This is a flexible hose with the air nozzle at the end and is great for limited access ducts or areas where you must reach the trunk through the interior boot. Notice the technician here feeding the power rod assembly with whip on the end into the duct system to agitate the dirt and debris for cleaning. Here you can see the technician using a triple whip to clean the return branch line, feeding from the interior into the mixing box. He has the HEPA vacuum set up on a wall return, and we have the return system isolated from the air handler with cardboard blocking the coil section. A pull ball system is usually utilized for this process. Be sure to clean exterior venting completely and then allow the pull ball to be led to the back of the dryer while running the unit. Be sure to reset the dryer to heat when finished. Ensure all lint and debris is removed from the weather engineer's unit and that the cleaning unit is removed from the job site. Connect the lint bag properly to the exterior outlet using the drawstring to secure the bag. The duct cleaning device feeds through the bag and should capture 90% of the lint. Estimate how long the dryer vent is so you know how far to feed the cleaning line. Use the reverse sweep device to clean the dryer vent and then clean the outlet to remove any loose lint that may be attached. Most dryer vents have a flap that needs to be cleaned as well. Be sure to clean the area after the job is complete. Successful removal of the blower can be achieved by following these important steps. Step 1. Disconnect the blower from the power source and test it to ensure it is not active. Step 2. After removing the air handler access panels, mark the blower wiring for easy reassembly later on. Step 3. Disconnect the wiring, remove the blower assembly, and separate the wheel from the motor and the housing using a blower wheel puller. Step 4. Mark the wheel and rotation for reassembly later. It is important to mark your wires for easy reference and safety. In this video, we will go over how to properly mark your wires. Step 1. Before you remove the motor, mark the location of the wiring on the side of the blower housing so that when you reinstall later, the wiring is in the correct position. Step 2. If the motor utilizes a plug, there is no need to mark the wires. If you have to remove the wiring from the board in the upper portion of the air handler, make sure that you take a picture with your phone or mark the wires with tape or Sharpie so that you know exactly which terminals to reinstall to. When reinstalling the blower assembly, the blower wheel hub with the locking nut should be on the opposite side of the motor. This will assure that you have the rotation of the wheel correct. Do not forget to align the electrical with the mark you added to the blower cabinet. Align the blower wheel on the motor shaft so there is equal distance on each side of the blower wheel. Cleaning air handlers can be accomplished by following these important steps. Step 1. Clean the coil in place using an approved chemical like Speed Clean. Two. Wipe internal insulation with a rag or sponge dampened with an approved chemical to clean. Step 3. Wipe the exterior of the cabinet using the same process. Step 4. Remove the blower assembly, separating it from the wheel and power wash the wheel and the wheel housing. Be very careful not to get the motor wet during this process. It is important that you properly seal your duct penetrations. Weather Engineer's standard operating procedure requires you to use an approved duct sealing tape, glass fab, and mastic. If the duct system is dirty and dusty, a trick is to spray insulation adhesive on the surface to ensure tape will stick. Remove existing insulation with a utility knife and scraper. Use insulation adhesive and tape as needed to secure new insulation in place. Depending on the severity of the damaged portion of insulation, you may have to remove the entire section or use spray adhesive to re-secure. Standard operating procedure during air duct cleanings is to clean the primary drain line of the client's HVAC system. Depending on the configuration of the drain system, water may need to be added back to prime the trap. We recommend cleaning the drain line prior to cleaning the coil so that the water used to clean the coil will automatically prime the trap, saving an additional step. If you clean the drain line after the coil cleaning, make sure you add a half gallon of water back to the drain system to prime the trap. If the trap is not primed, the unit will not drain, causing water to leak and damage the customer's home. Weather Engineers and Envirovac installs 3 types of air purifiers. There are different types of wiring that you will encounter. You will need to be comfortable and ready to deal with each of these wiring types before performing an air purifier install. When handling any air purifier installation, first you will need to locate the air handler and remove the cover panels. You can determine the voltage being supplied to the unit using your multimeter. Your transformer unit is rated for many different input voltages. The 3 main types of purifiers installed are the RemiHalo LED, which produces 0 ozone and uses a relay so the unit only runs when the air handler blower is on. The RemiHalo, which produces a small amount of ozone and will always be on. When installing the standard halo, you will need to adjust the output. Output is determined by the air handler's CFM. Refer to install manual for direction on how to adjust the sliding output shroud. And the blue QR, which is an object purifier typically used for coil protection. Refer to the manufacturer's instructions for installation guidelines. Here are a few tips that may help you in installing the air purifier. Suggested installation for RemiHalos is in the supply. The minimum distance from the top of the air handler cabinet is 9 inches. Installing them too close will cause the halo to melt. Halos should also be mounted in an upright position for proper functionality. Halos can be installed in the return, but keep in mind that any UV shining directly on a filter will prematurely deteriorate the fabric. Align the halo so that this will not occur. If the height of the plenums are not large enough, you may need to replace the supply plenum to meet the 9-inch requirement, or add the halo to the first mixing box. Blue QRs are object purifiers and should be pointed directly at the coil, under the blower wheel, and the cabinet where filter deterioration is not an issue. When installing the halos, you should use the same process with tape, glass fab, and mastic to assure there will be no duct leakage or the weight of the unit does not separate the tape. Once you have completed all wiring, go over all your connections and make sure they are tight and in the correct locations. Then, turn the power back on to activate the unit. Once the power is on, the RemiHalo will not start until the blower unit starts. The standard halo and the blue QR will start regardless of the blower operation. When it starts, the green LED on the Remi will activate to confirm you have wired everything correctly. After you have completed the cleaning, reinstall with the blower. You will connect the blower wiring and reinstall the panels. Secure panels while being careful not to over-tighten the screws with an impact on the drill motor. Once everything is complete, activate the air handler to test its operation. When installing vents, please note that over-tightening will lead to an unsatisfied client and unhappy lead technician. Since this is the most seen portion of the system, they will be very unhappy with bent-up vents. On the air handling unit, please replace any rusted screws and make sure they are all the same. On vents, when possible, replace all screws with quarter drive 2-inch white screws in order to remain uniform. Upon completing the maintenance visit, review any and all findings with the resident and share what you did during your visit to improve the indoor air quality. Make sure that the customer is satisfied with the work. You may need to show them the vents or photos of any ducting modification performed. From there, complete the transaction by obtaining the resident's signature on the invoice using your Weather Engineer's smart tablet and add an Envirovac sticker to each air handler. When performing maintenance or cleaning that requires you to access a resident's attic, you will need to be careful and watch your step to ensure that you remain safe. Be mindful of dust, debris, or any other objects that may obstruct your vision or present a potential hazard to you while maneuvering through the attic. When entering the attic, make sure that you only step across the ceiling joist or rafter to prevent any accidental impact or puncturing of the attic floor or ceiling material that may result in damage to the resident's home or harm to you or your attic partner. Never step on drywall or plaster materials between joists or rafters. Never step on or lean on water lines or pipes, including propane, water, and natural gas. If the attic is full of water lines from a repipe that could be easily damaged, have the homeowner turn off the main water supply to the house so there is not risk of an accidental leak caused by a broken line. Once complete, turn the water back on while someone is in the attic to make sure that there are no leaks. Knowing the location of the water shutoff is always good practice and should be addressed when you review the job with your customer. After completing the air duct cleaning, but before you reinstall the grills, while the abatement machine is still running with suction to the supply side, go to each supply vent and fog an approved solution into the system using a duct fogging machine. Fog each supply until the solution is close to forming a droplet of solution from the duct boot where the flex or metal connect occurs. This will ensure a proper amount was used in each vent and that the process is consistent for each vent. After removing the supply grills from each room, use white silicone and seal the gap between the boot edge and ceiling. Make sure to run a clean finger or tool or press sealer into the gaps. You may be able to seal the duct boots while vents are being removed, but care must be taken in order to avoid drippage onto the floor or other areas of the property. Duct bags or bladder systems are used in large duct system to block a portion of the duct so that the HEPA vacuum will create more suction. These bladder-style devices are manually pumped to close off a portion of ducting so as to allow proper suction from the abatement machine to occur. Sometimes multiple bladders may be needed in order to achieve proper suction.